Welcome to the joy of coding.
Welcome to episode 35 of The Joy of Coding. My name is Mike Conley. We're going to be hacking on some Firefox bugs today. I think it's going to be a great episode. We got a great show for you tonight, folks. Working on some stuff. Let's get down to business. What are we up to today? So here's my screen and the agenda for today. So, as per usual, the agenda is in the additional links section below if you're watching this on Air Mozilla. If you're not watching this on Air Mozilla, well, hopefully I've put the additional, the agenda link somewhere near this video. And if not, well, tweet angrily at me, and then, and then I'll remember to do it. Okay, so the first thing I want to look at today is I have patches for a bug that I've been working on for a while. I think we worked on it in a couple of previous episodes. Excuse me. And the patches all have review now, and there are some review comments, but otherwise it looks good to go. So I think we can actually try and land those today. And the other thing I want to look at is a performance mystery that got brought up to me. Well, I've known about it for a couple of weeks now, but one of our performance team researchers and like hardcore performance people, his name's Avi, he was doing like research into what's going on, and I'll explain all of that when we get to that bug. It's fascinating, and we're going to have a great time figuring out what's going on. I think, because who knows? No plan survives breakfast. And yeah, those are the two things I'm going to hopefully work on in the next hour and a half. So yeah, let's look at this first bug. So stop using kapows for window closing. So I have these patches all posted for review. Bill has reviewed all of them, given them all R+, very, very generous, but there are a couple of open issues for them that we need to clean up, and then we can land them. So let's take a look at those. So this is the first one. I think it's mostly nits in this one. So let's check out the right tree. This is, yeah, here we go. Where am I? Where am I in the tree is the question. So I think I'm at like, what have I got checked out? I'm like way down here in this change set. I was attempting to do this experiment for the new tab performance thing, and I did a back out, and that's not what we want to do anymore, so I'm actually going to strip that. Actually, no, that's not what I'm on. I'm on a completely different change set. Hold on a second. That was the wrong result. I'm down here. I'm down on basically inbound, or what I thought was inbound, and I want to be around here. So I'm going to check out async close window to start. Or actually, no, I'll check out this one, ed18, whatever this was before I rebased it. So that's have session store asynchronously collect information on close. So that's this one. I'm going to check out this one. Great. Now let's fix these issues that Bill brought up. And what's the first one? He's found some like empty lines and stuff, so let's take a look at the diff. So he found I've added an empty line here. Okay, I'll get rid of it. So let's open up the file .jsm, and this empty line was added on line 764. That's way down here. Boom, gone. So I can mark that one fixed. What else? He's got a comment here. Looks like we don't need this. What's he talking about? Oh, he's talking about the closed tab map. Yeah, we were originally using one and we don't need it anymore. This is actually leftovers from a thing that doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, that's unused. That's completely unused. Good eye, Bill. Good eye. That's why you have a reviewer. Fixed. What else? He has a comment down here. This needs a period. Good point. Flush the window, period. Fixed. Next. Period. Down here on 1249. Oh, thankfully. Okay. Period. Fixed. You know what? He put the comments over here on the left. He probably should have put them over here on the right. Or maybe, no, you know what? You can't do that because it's a changed line. So he did the right thing, and that's just my bad. But he was referring to stuff on the right side. So it seems like it's still possible to save the tab data here even if the tab was removed from closed window tabs before the flush. That sounds more than a nit. I'm going to have to come back to that. But that, I think, is his last issue. If I, like, go back to this this bug, the reviews, yeah, there's only one issue remaining, and that's the one. So let's take a look at what he's talking about. He says that it seems like it's still possible to save the tab data here, even if the tab was removed from closed window tabs. And he's referring to here, maybe save closed window before the flush. I guess you can fix that in a follow-up though. Even if the tab was removed from closed window tabs before the flush. So seems like it's still possible to save the tab data here. Oh, because right, we're inside the flush. If the tab was removed from closed window tabs before the flush, in maybe saved closed window, win data. I don't know if that's true because, like, the tab was removed from closed window tabs. Let's see what that is. I just have to refresh my memory. If we have the closed window tabs, we can still have, then we go through and then we copy all that stuff. Oh, right. I think I see what he's saying. So here's the problem. We get some window data. We like synchronously on window close, we extract the window data, including tabs that like were open and stuff. And then we do a flush on the window to make sure that we get the most recent data. Like before we do that flush, we like stash all of the cache stuff so that we have like a snapshot, but then we request the more recent stuff. So we do a flush window. And in that time, while we're waiting for this flush to come back, it is possible for the tab to be like removed from closed window tabs. Like suppose, well, say the tab, even if the tab was removed from closed window tabs before the flush. Well, who removes things from closed window tabs? Right, remove closed tab data. Right, so if something calls remove closed tab data, we'll remove the thing from closed window tabs, but over here in when we finish the flush, even though we've removed it from the closed window tabs, it's still inside the window data, the closed window data, in this struct here. So we'd probably need to remove it in that case. Okay, so he says that should probably be a follow-up, and I agree. Fix that in a follow-up though. Sure, I will file a follow-up for that. Well, let's file the follow-up right now so that we can close this out. Session store. I think there are a couple of session restore. Um, async tab flushing, tab and window flushing uh, may make it possible to accidentally save tabs we want to forget. Okay. Bug. So where do we add tab async flush? Tab flush. Here we go. Bug that and bug 1171708 introduced tab state flusher flush and tab state flusher flush window, which asynchronously flush all pending messages from tabs and windows that are being closed. While we're waiting for that async message flush to complete, there is a small window of time where the user or some add-on could choose to forget a particular tab. Once the flush is finished, however, we don't seem to respect that choice. We don't seem to respect that choice, meaning that the tab will not necessarily be forgotten. Note that it's a small window of time, but we should definitely make sure to not keep stuff around if the user has expressed a desire to get rid of it. Okay. And I will CC Bill M. Done. And that's some follow-up work. So done, filed, bug, such and such, fixed, save that comment. Actually, I shouldn't have opened a comment there. What I should have done is, and this is a problem I think in the UI that's not very clear. Instead of creating a comment, I should probably have created a reply, and I should do that in here. Done, filed, bug, such and such. Publish the reply. Okay, so that's done, and I will commit those changes. Let's just quickly review them. Yep. Okay. Commit, amend, and then evolve. And I can actually say that Bill did review this. R equals Bill M. Whoop. And then evolve will replay the change sets on top of my changed change set. Now this one, what else did he say? I fixed some tests up. He found some issues. So what's going on here? I thought promise resolution always returned to the event loop first anyway. Yeah, you know what? I have a feeling that... So full disclosure, I had a bunch of failing tests, and I just like threw everything at it. And I have a feeling this actually isn't helping our failing tests. I'm going to remove this, I think. But before, like whenever I do that, I'm also going to push to try to make sure that I haven't accidentally broken the world. But that'll be the last thing I do. So here, nobody seems to read from this thing. Window flush promises, yeah, whoops, leftovers, thanks. So I had this like window flush promises thing that I put into session store, and I think I removed it. Let's see. Let me check out the right patch. And the thing was called Window Flush Promises, and it's gone, yeah. So fixed. That was on line 375. Wait, and then the whole thing just refreshed. Yeah, it's gone. I had gotten rid of it. Good. Extra new line on line 1297, and Felipe is pinging me. Yo, live hacking. Is that okay? Can we... Or should we wait? Okay, extra new line. Line 1297. 1297. I added a new line right here, I think. Yes. Let's make sure. Yeah, just put... Oh, yeah. We didn't need this. We didn't need this thing at all. But there was already a space there after. So it's gone. This thing is done. I don't want to interrupt, whatever. So we can do it publicly. Felipe says hello. All right. So is FX team okay or eTennis? So Felipe wants to say some stuff. Extra new line here. I just removed the window flush promises thing, which I was using to diagnose some failing tests. You have a simpler way of doing this elsewhere. Return the promise. Right. Same here. So I've used a simpler way of doing this elsewhere in the patch where I've returned the promise. Register cleanup function where I've just returned a promise. Oh yeah. And just do this. Yeah, that's way better. So 590.563. 63. Okay, so let's bring Felipe to the stage. Hey, what's up? So he wants to talk. And the line for this fix was line on the register cleanup right here. And it was with win, so if I can do whoop, nope, whoop, there we go. Easy peasy, and then 701.377. Same biz. Register cleanup function. Whoop. Felipe says, hey, I'm trying to understand one part of the patch in this. So Felipe is reviewing something I've worked on. Sure. Okay. And this one's done. So that's fixed. This is still attempting to be fixed. I'm going to reload the page. I don't know why that died. Alright, it persisted. So what's going on here? I thought promise resolution... So let's remove that and then push to try. I'll remove this. I kind of threw everything into clearing a bunch of orange I was seeing in my try pushes. This is probably a leftover That isn't necessary, but I'll push to try first just to be sure. So instead of test utils execute soon, we'll just resolve. So that's browser test utils. Test utils execute soon, so we'll just resolve like we used to. Okay. So let's take a look at the changes we made, and let's see what Felipe has to say. The last part added, else if not force on demand. Right. So simplify this, simplify that. That's using the right window, yep. And then down here, yeah, resolve. Gotcha. So commit, amend, and then HG evolve. So let's say the restore tab is called in a background tab and force on demand is true. That means both blocks of that if clause will be skipped, correct? On a background tab. Yes, I believe that's true. Anything else that adds that tab to tab restore queue? So tab restore queue. Remove. Yes, I believe we skip both both blocks. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what the tab restore queue is for, but do we really need to queue it? Case that you just mentioned. Okay, R equals Bill M. Great. Okay. So that's it. It's all reviewed. Now, the async shutdown thing that it's built on top of, I don't think we can use anymore, or like we don't need to rely on it anymore. These have both been reviewed, so we should ARP plus them. So like all of our issues should be closed. Oh, wait. I've got one down here still. Some extra new lines he asked for around these tests. Add test for async. 1171708. This thing. Add test for async window flushing. Which was right here. Maybe it doesn't. It's only for tabs that are being currently restored. That was my impression. Maybe Mossop. Is Mossop around? But yeah, my impression was that we didn't need to queue in this case. All right. What was I doing? I'm fixing Bill's knit. So he found a place where he wants some extra new lines. That was around here. Oh, yeah, up here. Just around this block up here. So session store.jsm. Right at the top. Whoop. It was around, where was it? This like G debug, this thing. Right, so he wants this. Whoop. There we go. There we go. That looks good. That looks really good. Felipe says, if force on demand is true, shouldn't we just be jumping the first block, like forcing restore immediately to false? Shouldn't we just be jumping the first block? The problem is that tab restore is that if we're restoring immediately by default via prefs, tab restore q dot add tab followed by this dot restore next tab will cause us to restore immediately. Because tab restore q dot add puts the tab into the queue, and then restore next tab will get the next tab in the queue, which is the one we just added, and call restore tab content on it. Right. Okay, so that's done. And then what I need to do is update the commit messages so that they all have the bill r equals bill m on them. Then I'm going to push to try, like a final push to try. But because there's so many patches, I don't want to like spam the bug. Oh, I also want to rebase on top of not this. So there are a number of things I want to do. Oh, we're about to do some mercurial gymnastics. Now, where does the behavior differ if with the standard pref setting restore on demand is true? Then in tab restore queue, even though we've added it to the queue, restore next tab, it won't emit the tab when we, where is it? Tab restore queue. Tab restore queue. Restore next tab. When we call tab. When we call init, since the queue will detect the user, will check the user preference and make sure that is not emitted on shift. Okay. So, some mercurial gymnastics. A couple things we want to do. We want to be pushing this to FX team. So I need to get a fresh pull from FX team, and then I'm going to rebase on top of it. But I'm not going to rebase everything. I'm not going to take this async shutdown business. Yeah, I'm going to take everything else and Actually, what I might do is put it on top. I'm going to reorder things a little bit. Yeah, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to reorder things. Wait, hold on a second. Before I do that, which change set am I on? I'm on tip? Okay, good. So I'm going to reorder things a little. And then I want to put this up here because this one relied on this, and for some reason I decided to put it all the way down at the bottom of my stack, but this can't land yet. I'm not actually even working on this. This is someone else's patch, but I relied on it. And then which ones needed their message updated? I think it was down here. Down here, this one, this one. What were they? The last 3 or 4? Who knows? Let's do a bunch and then see where we're at. You know what? I can do this. I learned a new Vim trick. Hup, hup, hup. Command I. Doot, 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 doot. And then M. Nope, that didn't work at all. But normally I can do like block select and then like replace a bunch of things all simultaneously. Oh well. I didn't do it right. Okay, I thought it would be that color shift who would check that, but I see now that it simply returns nothing. It's kind of confusing. Okay, that one we didn't need to update. That one we didn't need to update. This one we do need to update. Uh-huh. Okay. So now we've reordered things a little bit. And then, oh, there's one thing else I wanted to do. I added these helpers in this commit. And I think there was like a little piece of documentation I wanted to update. Browser test utils, because I added like window closed and then close window and then DOM window closed can take a param let's see, and not win or subject equals win, param win, optional. The window we should wait for to have DOM window closed notified for it. And sent through the window we should wait to have DOM window closed sent through the observer service for. If this is not supplied, we'll just resolve when the first DOM window closed notification is seen. Should probably put these in quotes to match the other. I think there's a way of like going by word. There it is, yeah. Promise which resolves when a DOM has been fired by the window watcher. Right. And then I did something similar for DOM window opened. The window we should wait to have DOM window opened sent through the observer server that is not supplied. We'll just resolve when the first DOM window opened notification is seen. Okay, that's all I wanted to add with some extra documentation. And now we can do that commit amend thing again. And then our patches are ready to roll, although we have to rebase on top of FX team. That's the other thing. Felipe says, although it feels like this is the first situation we should not be adding a tab to the queue, I wonder if that has other consequences. It looks like remove should be fine before being called when the tab's on the list on any of the lists. Okay. Do you know if on tab show, on tab hide, and its counterparts hidden visible are meant for tab groups? On tab show and on tab hide are definitely not just for tab groups. Hidden to visible, visible to hidden. Hidden to visible and visible to hidden might be. Heis would probably know better since he's the one working on removing tab groups. The whole concept, I think tab show when this situation happens. Tab show and tab hide are meant for and oh, that bug. That bug. I'm sorry. Mean different show and hide than visible and hidden are. So that's a thing that Felipe just brought up. All right, we're almost done here. Just going to, now that we've reorganized everything, let's take a look. It all looks great. I'm going to pull FX team and rebase on top of it. And then I'm going to push to try. And then we're going to, I'm going to like make note of the tree herder URL, and then I'm going to put this bug on hold while we wait for try results. Because, well, I need to know that it's all passing, especially with that thing I removed. This set of patches has been really tricky because we're changing like an underlying synchronous expectation of a certain thing. And so I've had to like rejig a bunch of tests. And so that's caused a bunch of test failure to occur. And I think I've got it all fixed, but it's been really fiddly. Okay. Okay, we are rebased on top of FX team. Great. So now this thing is what I want to be the end of my push. So update our I'm going to push our push to try, and then the commit message needs to be try chooser syntax. I want to do Linux 64 and OS X if I can, because there are some tests that are OS X only. I'm going to do basically all the Moki tests, I think, and both debug and non-debug. Boom! What is Felipe saying? Example, a crash tab is not added to the queue, then it's hidden by calling tab browser hide tab, which will move it from visible to hidden. Maybe it won't cause any problems, especially with the tab groups removal, but it's worth checking. Alright, can do. He wants me to check a thing. So let me add a note to that particular bug. That was this bug he's talking about. Check Felipe's tab groups thing. So let me copy the conversation. Okay, there we go. So we'll check that out later. Probably not in this episode. So here is the push. Oh, and it is already recording the tree herder push on the bug. So let's see what it said. Pushing to try. Made a bunch of replies, but I don't... Did I? I felt like I'd said other things, especially in this. Do I have unpublished replies? Yeah, I have an unpublished reply. Do I have other things that I haven't said anything about? No. No. Cool. Alright, so that's done. We've pushed it to try. We'll see how it comes back. We're going to move on. We're going to move on, folks. So, just so for my own edification and my own notes, I will put the try link in here. Okay, I have some follow-ups to file as well. So I should probably tag this with has follow-ups to file. Not blocked on review anymore. It is blocked on a try build. Nope, not blocked on tree closure. Blocked on try build. Okay. So now what did I want to look at next? This thing is actually, this is another bug I was working on before, and this is not blocked on need info before. This is now, I've actually landed a fix for this. It's actually a back out of another fix, landed in integration. So yeah, I landed a back out, and we'll wait for that to merge, and then we can close that one out. So next what I wanted to look at is this regression. Okay, so if you've been following oh, hold on a second, my laptop is running out of batteries because I failed to plug in the power adapter. I just realized, so let me just plug it in. Where is the outlet? Pardon my delay. Here we go. A little bit of power. Maybe I'll play a sound while we're waiting. This is a good opportunity for waiting. Just gotta plug in this cable. Hey, alright.
Mamma mia!
Wicked. Alright, so we are done waiting there. We are now working on this bug, and I'll comment in the bug. Thanks. I've added a note to do that test later today. Okay, so done talking with Felipe about that. So this thing, what is this? This is a performance issue where, well, I don't fully understand it yet, and if I did, we'd fix it. But let me try and describe what's being said. So here's the bug. This is bug 1199425. Creating a new tab on Windows, performance regressed. And it's noticed, or the regressing change set is apparently this patch that I reviewed where we changed the markup language for the new tab page from Zool to XHTML. And the regression is like noticeable in this really weird case where you try and open up a bunch of new tabs all like one right after the other. And that ends up like filling up the event queue, and then the browser becomes unresponsive, and it's really, really bad. And that's like a really sort of, it's not very often that the user will just like hold down Command T or Control T, but it can happen. And the reason that we actually care is because Well, we need to understand why switching from Zool to XHTML caused that problem, because we're probably going to be doing more of this conversion away from Zool to XHTML, or some variant of HTML. So we need to know where this performance regression comes from. We need to understand it, so that we don't end up causing badness where there should be no badness. And I've been working with this fella named Avi from the perf team. He's great. He's been doing a lot of research on this particular bug, and he's got an interesting finding. He just posted this before I started streaming not too long ago, like 20 minutes before the stream started. And I kind of read it, but I'm going to read it again for you. I'm going to kind of lay out what he's saying. So he's got this patch that instruments us opening the, like, calling the browser new tab function, which is what's called when you hit Command T or Control T. Like, there's this, a bunch of stuff happens, and then we call this function. So every time you open a new tab, either you go to, like, File, New Tab, or you hit this button, or you, like, there are a number of ways of opening a new tab. Maybe you go over here and choose, like, I don't know. There could be a number of ways that you open a new tab. All of them go through this browser new tab, for the most part, when you're opening a new tab. And he instruments it, and he's got these two builds. So the build from just before the Zool to XHTML patch landed, and the one right, like, with the patch to switch to XHTML. He calls that the bad patch and the good patch. And the way he's set things up is he's changed the keyboard setting. He's on Windows, so that I might have some difficulty reproducing this, but we'll see. He changed his keyboard delay rate to repeat, delay before repeat to 1,000 milliseconds, and then the repeat rate to be 30 times per second. So there's no way I can, like, set to that particular number. I'm on a different operating system. This doesn't give me that sort of, like, readout of how fast or slow a thing is. But I have set myself to maximum key repeat and minimal, or the longest delay until repeat. Oh, and Avi is talking to me. He's watching, and we'll try and check it out. I'm cool with both of you. What's Avi saying? Where did Avi say that? In live hacking? Where are you, Avi? Where is Avi talking from? Yes. Avi says, apparently browser open new tab is only called when invoking via the keyboard, not from the menu. That's interesting. Browser new tab. Oh, yeah, sorry. Browser open new tab. What? Browser open new tab. Or window. Interesting. If event shift key. Really? I need to prove that. I'm skeptical. I trust Avi, but this sounds very strange. That would be I would file a bug on that, because we should probably have a single code path there. So let me set a breakpoint. Browser.js in browser open tab. So I'll set a breakpoint here. So we'll hit that breakpoint when we hit the button. Yep, no problem. And then if I were to go to File, New Tab, yes, we hit the breakpoint again. Now maybe he means this other method, browser open new tab or window. Is that browser open new tab? Browser, where is browser open new tab? Not that interesting. All right. Let's move on. I'm pretty sure it's the same code path. Regardless, so he set up his keyboard delays like this. He's starting with a clean profile. Now here's his testing procedure. He opens the browser and he waits for about 10 seconds or so, and then he presses and holds Control T, or in my case on OS X, Command T, for 5 seconds. And this procedure produces one Control T event, then 1,000 milliseconds idle, because he's set himself up to delay before repeat about 1,000 milliseconds, and then 4 seconds times 30 equals 120 more Control T events, is what we expect from the operating system. Now on the good build, the one with the Zool markup for the new tab page, he notices that there are 49 tabs opened in that span of time, in that 1 second and then 4 seconds. 16 milliseconds is how fast the handler takes to run on average, abouts, and we're able to do about 10.5 new tabs per second. Is his conclusion there? That's the measurement. Now in the bad build, we actually open up way more tabs, like more than double. We open up 123 new tabs, and it takes us about 23.5 milliseconds per. That's fewer. Like we take fewer. That's longer than the 60 milliseconds over here, obviously. So that's an interesting result. And so we're opening at actually a faster rate, but it's taking us longer per in the handler, which is a really interesting result. So something is like gating the events coming in, it seems, and this is, even though we're slower to handle it, we're receiving more events in the bad case. We're like handling this a lot more frequently, even though we're doing it more slowly. And so that's why we have more tabs per second, even though the handling is slower in general. And then if we disable preloading, the regression kind of like the difference in performance kind of disappears. It only takes us about 24 milliseconds to do each handling in the good case, about 25 milliseconds to handle it in the bad case, and then about 11 tabs per second and about 9 tabs per second here, and roughly a similar number of tabs opened in both, as opposed to like this massive difference between the two. Browser open new tab, and the cycle is the duration between two. So Avi is watching in IRC, or watching from his desk, and he is giving me feedback on my thinking here. And he's saying that the handler, that's this thing over here, is the runtime of the browser open new tab method. That's browser open new. You know what? I need to look at his patch, because let's take a look at the patch. In the browser open tab, browser open tab method. Browser open tab. In this method right here, he's doing all of this measurement right around this thing. And so he's saying that a cycle is the duration between two consecutive invocations. So in the bad case, like where the amount of time before another invocation is much lower in the bad case. So we're hitting it more frequently, even though it's taking longer for the handler to run, which is very interesting. Okay, so and with disabled preloading, this difference goes away, even though overall performance is slightly worse. Like with the good build in both preloading on and off, we're looking at about 49 tabs open, but like the handler runs just a little bit faster, and even though we get like fewer tabs per second, the handler runs a little bit faster, and I would imagine that that's good for like making sure that we don't skip a frame or something. When you're around 16 milliseconds, you have maybe a greater chance of not skipping a frame. So that might be good for I mean, that's a guess. I mean, who knows how long it would take. You've got like that much time is how long the handler runs, and hopefully you're not doing a really expensive paint operation. We'll see, but like I think that was like the big reason for preloading, was to make it so that we don't accidentally skip a frame and we don't jank the browser as much. So Avi's conclusions: with preload, the good build actually throws away input events. It received 120 events but opened only 50 new tabs. He's saying it received 120 events based on his keyboard settings. I made sure there were actually only 51 tabs at the browser. This is probably as fast as it can fully open a new tab. Whether or not it should be considered a bug is debatable for this specific use case. With preload, the bad build actually opened up a new tab for every single event it received. Again, verify that the browser had 128 plus tabs and showed the bug. So like one of them gates and the other one doesn't, which is pretty interesting. Without preload, both the good and the bad builds iterated at the slow rate and throw away input events, and none of them showed the bug. So he's got some rough calculations. Without preload, it puts the XHTML version at 10% slower than Zool for a full new tab open, with about 50 new tabs with Zool and 45 new tabs with XHTML over the same period of time, at apparently maximum handling rate for each build. So that's fascinating. That's good stuff. I'm gonna take a quick drink of water.
Oh, wow, 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 wow.
All right.
Oh yeah.
So let's investigate. First, can we repeat his experiment? He's got his patch here that does the measurements, and I'm going to take this patch. I'm going to copy, like I think it's the only patch in here, and so I will copy the bug number and then HG. I'm actually going to switch. I cloned a different repository. I didn't want to like. So because we're working with revisions from way back from months ago, I didn't want to like have just my one Mozilla Central tree go way back in time and blow away all my objders and all my build stuff. So I've cloned my Mozilla Central repository into a second repository so that this thing can move back and forward in time and I don't mess with my other stuff. More space. It's the classic time-space trade-off. So where am I right now? If I look at which bookmark I'm on the with Zool bookmark. And I'm going to import Avi's patch. Apply it. And so now we have Avi's measurement patch. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the with HTML patch. But before I do that, I'm going to let's see if we can get a base reading off of. Let's get a reading if we can. No mock build. Faster wasn't introduced back then. That's right. Mock build, and I think he just touches base. Browser base. Browser base. Yeah, browser base. I miss build faster. I need my build faster. All right. So let's see if we can reproduce his findings. So I created a new tab profile here. Now he said he waits about 10 seconds. Oh, I might have to turn on dumping. So hold on. Window dump enabled. Right. So let's restart. New tab tests. Yeah. So he said he waits about 10 seconds. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then Command T. 2, 3, 4, 5, and then stop. So here's what we got this is from the Zool findings with Avi H instrumentation. And now let's do the XHTML findings with Avi H instrumentation. So I'm going to shut down the browser now. Oh, I don't need that anymore. And I don't need this anymore. And so now I will update to the different bookmark, HG update with XHTML. And now I will import Avi's patch on top of it. I have to do a mock build, like a full build, because the difference between these two involves some like C++ stuff. And Avi says something. Avi says, sorry, set new tab to blank. No thumbs. Gar. Okay. Forgot that part of the procedure. Well, that's okay. Maybe we can. Well, we'll wait until this build is finished. This shouldn't take too long. This should take about a minute. And then for the XHTML page, or instance will, here, I'm going to throw away this measurement. This measurement's no good. Wait for this build to finish. It's almost done anyways. Yeah. Now, if I end up having to flip back and forth between these two a lot, I might do some sort of hackery to make it so that I don't have to rebuild like the whole, like the binary stuff each time. That'll save me maybe a couple of, like a minute per build, and that might be good. All right, so mock run p new tab test. So I need to disable new tab thumbnails. Where set new tab to blank? So no thumbnails. Show blank page. Okay. I'm going to shut down again. Okay. So here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Here we go. 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. Okay, so that was my measurement for XHTML. And again, Avi did his on Windows, which, I mean, at some point is going to be different in terms of event dispatching. You'd hope it'd be kind of the same. But, I mean, we might see some differences here where this bug is not reproducible on OS X, in which case, well, that's the end of this episode for this bug, because then, you know, there's not a whole lot we can do to... I can't stream my Windows box, unfortunately, so that's a pain. Okay, so now I have to flip back to the other... You know what I'll actually do? I'm going to do that hack to make it so I don't have to do this rebuild each time. This massive rebuild. Because one of the things that changes is... oh, there's that as well. I have this, like... There's this build fix that I had to put in for OS X. But there's also... Where is it? Under... We changed this file, the about redirector, from newtab.xhtml to newtab.zool. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the about redirector right now to have both. But I'm like to use newtab.xhtml and newtab.zool, even though in one case, it will be missing. I'll just make sure that I don't... Here. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to have... So this is the XHTML one. I'm going to call this new tab. Instead of new tab just new tab, I'll call it new tab XHTML. And then I'm going to add another one called new tab-zool. And... Oh, wait. I'm in the wrong tree. I got to be careful as well. As soon as I start mucking around with a new repository, I need to make sure I'm in the right tree. So let me... Avi says the predictability of no hacks for switching might be safer. That's true. Maybe this isn't worth it. Let's get our base measurement. You know what? If I end up flipping back and forth a lot, then I'll consider doing such a hack. But maybe he's right. Just to get our base measurement. Just so we can like confirm whether or not, because like if the regression isn't visible on OS X, then such a hack is unnecessary for this machine. Like I'm just wasting time. So let's do this straight up. Now while we're waiting for that build to finish, what does this set of measurements say about XHTML? Well, the handler runs. What are we looking at here? It's kind of all over the place. Like at the high end, we're looking at something like 23.1 milliseconds, we've got this average that's being computed, and we look at around 18.3, and then the cycle time is around 135.8, or about 7.4 tabs per second. Okay, and what were Avi's findings again? Avi said that Avi's findings in the oh shoot, did I disable preloading in this profile? That's the other thing. I gotta make sure I've got preloading enabled. So many variables. I thought this was a new profile, but I want to just double check and make sure, because I was monkeying around with this profile before. In which case, again, this profile is, the measurements I got were useless. So let's see. Config, new tab, preload is on. Okay, we are preloading, so that's good. Okay, so here we go. Run the new tab test. This is with Zool. All right. So looking at the clock, we boot up and now we wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release. Okay. Here are our Zool findings. So already we can see that fewer were being handled, and that in general it's slightly faster with Zool in terms of the handler running. We've got these spikes of like 20 milliseconds or so here in the XHTML case. We have a couple of similar spikes in here. Avi says, your numbers for XHTML indeed seem similar to mine when preload is disabled. Preload is enabled. Tab preloading is enabled, I'm pretty sure. Let me make sure that preloading is working. So let me turn on the browser tools. gbrowser.preloaded browser. It's there, and it wouldn't be there if we weren't preloading. So we are actually preloading here. Okay. Well, yeah, it's just browser tool stuff. I actually ran. It seemed like the gap between is about the same every time one of these is serviced. I'm thinking that this is not the same behavior as Avi is seeing on Windows, because I'm like seeing the same. I'm seeing similar behavior basically between Zool and XHTML here, and that suggests to me that what Avi is seeing might be Windows related, or it's depending on Windows anyways, and that he's concurring in IRC. But is there anything else that we can see from? Yeah, we're approaching like the same rate in both cases. It's actually stunning how like we're converging on this the same time. Not stunning, but like I would have expected some kind of difference when switching from Zool to XHTML, but the rate doesn't actually. It's converging to 7.4 seconds, or 7.4 per second, tabs per second. Okay. So conclusion. This bug, the bug that Avi has been working on, does not seem to be reproducible on OS X. Now, one thing I could do, I do have a Windows 7 VM, and I could pull down builds. Like, I could try and, here, we could try a thing. Let me try a thing. I know it's a VM. That's probably not going to add a whole lot to, like, that's probably going to add some noise. Avi wants to know if it looks differently. Yeah, does it look differently on screen? Not really. It looks pretty much the same. Looks the same and bad, or the same and good? Well, like, why is this all smoky? What do I mean by the same? That's a good question. Why is everything all smoky in here? This is a really sort of dark web content area. I don't know why that is. That was weird. You know what? I've got this VM open. I was considering trying to reproduce it in here if I've got like Moz. Do I have Moz regression? Or Moz nightly? Maybe I have Moz nightly? Do I have Moz nightly? Yes, I do have Moz nightly. Okay, so maybe I could do a Moz nightly from just before and just after and just try and reproduce it here. Now, to answer Avi's question, he wants to know if it looks the same or different. For some reason, this window won't focus. Like, it thinks it's unfocused. I'm going to shut down this browser and restart it. Okay, so we wait some number of seconds. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then we go, and like, I'm seeing like not a whole lot of paints. Like, I'm seeing one paint per. Well, you know, I'm not going to see any more paints because like the tabs are being put off screen. But I was like seeing one paint per couple of seconds. Let's see if we can get a sense of it. So 1, 2, 3. So that was 3 seconds, and that was like a second after that. So I'm seeing a paint every couple of seconds. Okay, let's take a look at this Windows VM. This is going to be a slow machine, and I want to get a build from just before the Azul XHTML thing landed. And that happened in this bug. What time is it? It's 2:15. I really want to like take a bite out of this. Come on. It's my hurry up music. So this stuff landed on the 23rd. So I'm going to say if we get a nightly from the 23rd, then we shouldn't have the XHTML stuff. So Moz nightly from the date is 2015. month is the 23rd of July. Wait, March, April, May, July. Yeah, 23rd. So we'll get the nightly there. Oh, that's not working. See Mozilla. Wait a second. When do I want to do like pip install u Moz regression? I probably want to do that. Easy install Moz regression. Get the up to date. So Moz regression help. Does it have launch? Because that's what I need. Moz regression. No, it doesn't. Easy install. How do I do an upgrade? Something like that. Moz regression. Something like that. There we go. Gets a bunch of stuff. Puts it right in my base package repository. Not using a virtual env here. Living on the edge. My Windows VM is such a hole. It's just like all the worst stuff goes into this VM. I'm afraid. Getting all this stuff. And this is just like, if it turns out I can not reproduce it here, what I'm going to end up doing is like using my desktop Windows machine, which I can't stream from, unfortunately, and try to piece this apart over there. Which blows, because I was really hoping to like solve this while doing the joy of coding. So like if I wasn't able to get it this week, I would hopefully have figured it out next week. Now, one thing I could try and do is get a kind of maybe a Windows laptop, a temporary loaner laptop that I could do this work on so I could stream it. The reason I can't do the streaming from my desktop machine is because I'm right in the middle of like where a bunch of people sit with my desktop machine, and like I don't want to disturb them by talking out loud about what I'm hacking on. Now I could technically move that tower. I don't want to. I don't want to have to move the tower every day, and I don't want to have to like work in here for until this thing's fixed. So I'm lazy. Is the story. Avi says, I was testing initially with 722 and 725 nightlies. Okay, because the patches landed on the 23rd, we can be certain that they weren't in the 23rd nightly. I think it'll be okay, but we'll see. Oh, so now I have to like change the keyboard settings of this machine. Keyboard settings. How do I do that? Windows. I wonder if it's like accessibility, keyboard. He had very particular settings. He had keyboard delay rate. Delay before repeat is 1,000 milliseconds. I've got these sliders. I have no idea. Long and repeat rate fast. So let's check it out. If I hit A, I don't know if that's the same, but like, we'll see. We'll see. Okay. And now I want to turn on. I want to turn on about blank. Get out of here. I don't care. New tab. Okay. Show a blank page. Okay. So this is not very scientific. I'm not being very I'm not being very careful. I'm not waiting the 10 seconds or anything. I just want to see just by holding down Control T whether or not I see a difference between the two builds. That'll give me confidence that I can actually work on this thing and see it. Okay, so here we go. Command T. So I'm not seeing a whole lot of painting going on. Like, for example, the cursor is all locked up. The cursor is completely locked up here. And that's before the patch landed. And I let go, and then like the browser is janking really hard. It's like, even though it knows that like this is a text input, it's like freaking out a lot. It's not responding. Okay, now we can hover. Alright, it's finally sort of caught up. Okay, now what if I get a nightly from the day? Like, let's see if it's worse from which day? Let's say the 25th. 25th. Rum-ba-dum-dum-dum.
I can't do my work. What happened? Hey, what happened? What happened? That's right.
I like to play sounds while I wait for things to download. Hoop-a-doo. Hey, alright, here we go. So I have to switch to showing it a blank about new tab. Got it. So, in theory, this should be a lot worse. That's the theory. Here we go. Command T. So I'm not seeing, again, a bunch of painting. I'm seeing like maybe a paint every couple of seconds. This is actually painting more frequently than before. Like, at some point it just stopped respecting me. Like, yeah, it's not painting now. And then at some point it just stopped listening. And like, it was almost like I had let go. Now I'm doing it again. And it's just, in both cases, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad news. All right. My conclusion. So my Windows VM is not very helpful here. Very helpful here. At least for doing any kind of precise measurement. Specifically because I don't have AviH's measurement instrumentation patch applied, and because I'm using Moz regression nightlies. So I should probably try diagnosing this on my beefy Windows box at my desk, is my conclusion. And Avi says, smiley face, yeah, that's what I did, sliders. It's indeed, it seemed that on your experiments before and after the XHTML patch, the bug does show. On some systems, however, the bug only shows with the XHTML version. Interesting. Wonder why that is. I wonder why that is. Now, it might be a little bit counterintuitive. Like one of Avi's findings, these aren't Avi's findings. Avi's findings are over here. One thing that I learned from working on performance work is that when one thing gets faster, in general, it's possible for things to get slower. Like, and I know like that sounds counterintuitive, but just bear with me for a second. Suppose we've made opening new tabs faster. That means we can open more new tabs. What if opening more new tabs Like this hypothetical scenario. Suppose we do something that makes opening new tab faster. Like, I don't know, writing a preloader. Just an example. So in theory, opening tabs becomes faster. Then you can do it more often. Because you can do it more often, you can you open up this opportunity to do it as often as possible. And then you can get to a point where you're doing it so often that things get really bad. Like, because you're doing it, you have the capability of doing it so fast that doing it as often as possible bogs down your machine like crazy. That's like one of those cases. Like, I've seen this in other performance bugs where because painting got faster, and meant we were able to paint more frequently, which ended up taking us longer in total because we spent more time painting because we could paint faster. You know what I mean? Like, little things like that. It's kind of counterintuitive. You think, well, I make this one little thing faster, the whole system would get faster, but that's not always the case, especially with things that are happening frequently and all the time. It's not always so simple. So, again, my conclusion is I need to go back to my desk and see if I can reproduce this on my desktop machine. And if I can't reproduce this on my desktop machine, I have to find a machine I can reproduce it on. And thankfully, we have a number of Windows boxes in this office. Maybe I can find one. Maybe I can even strap OBS to it next week, or pipe some kind of. Maybe I'll just point my camera at the screen while I hack on it, and maybe we'll try that next week. But in the meantime, I think I'm going to call it. I think I'm going to call this episode as done. How are we doing? We didn't skip too many frames. I didn't slide, and by skipping frames, I'm talking about OBS here in this stream. Because, for some reason, I minimized OBS and I wasn't looking at it. And I don't think I slid too far out of screen. I was trying this week to really not, I've had previous episodes where I realize halfway through that I've been like this the whole time, or like this, really out of frame. And I think this time I mostly stayed in frame. Maybe the bottom of my mouth was out at times. We'll see. But yeah, I think that went all right. What else did I want to say? I had a thing in the agenda. What was it? I'm gonna shut down this VM because it is bogging down my machine. This Windows VM is just the worst. I cannot stand it. I might just delete it. But it is handy to be able to run Windows periodically on this machine. What did I want to say? I wanted to talk about... Oh! Hey, we have a new show. There is a new show available called The Joy of Illustrating. It's not on Air Mozilla. Sean Martell is streaming it to YouTube for now. But I think you should check it out. If you're interested in the Firefox... logo, or any of the logos we make here at Mozilla, any of the logos you've seen, and maybe you're like, that's really cool. I'm a visual designer, or I'm an artist of some kind. I want to kind of see how that's done, or how it's made, or how it's constructed. You will probably enjoy The Joy of Illustrating. That's this TV show on YouTube. TV show. Wow, what am I at? That's a pretty antiquated way of saying it. That's this show here on YouTube with Sean Martell, one of our top visual designers and logo designers here. His show is fantastic. He shows you how you put together a logo, and this first episode he deconstructs the Firefox logo, which is great. He's got this really cool intro where it's like a callback to the green giant, the friendly giant from whenever I was a kid, and then he really goes into the deep, dirty technical bits of illustration of things like the Firefox logo. Here he's showing you the vector for some kind of gradient that's being put on, and he's got a really great voice. It's very soothing, kind of Bob Ross